Editor Dan here. Before we begin the episode, I wanted to give a content warning that this episode does discuss the topic of sexual assault and murder. We know that these topics can be incredibly difficult, especially if they've touched your life personally. Thank you for being here, and listen with care.
Hello, and welcome to Development Purgatory.
This is the podcast all about the movies that were never made, the scripts that were never written, and the ideas that never even made it to the page. My name is Daniel Kaka.
And I'm Lexi Riley.
And I do not have a tie.
You don't, thank God.
Or could that mean the opposite thing? Because I don't have a tie. That means I used it for other nefarious reasons.
Good evening.
Hi.
Our story begins in St. Anne's, Nottingham in 1899, where an intricate and important cog of cinematic history was born. On August 14th, lacemakers Matthew and Lucy Revell would welcome their second daughter, Alma Revell. When she was young, Alma's family moved to London, where her father took a job at Twickenham Film Studios. And as children do, Alma would visit her father at work, leading her to eventually become a tea girl. Do you know what a tea girl is?
Is it a girl that provides drinks for people?
It's basically a British term for a PA.
Okay.
A tea girl. At the tender young age of 16, she got promoted to a cutter.
Oh.
Do you know what a cutter is?
An editor?
Yes, that is the British term for editing. And she would go on to write as well as become a director's assistant. And if we look at her timeline, she would be 16 in 1915. Film industry jobs, pretty tough for a woman today. So super rarely accessible to women back then.
1915, just having a film job, like a job in the film industry, is a very rare thing. Alma said on editing, "The art of cutting is art indeed, with a capital A, and is of far greater importance than is generally acknowledged." And I concur. Agree. It's like how editors are always contributed to like why directors are so great. It's like Martin Scorsese has had the same editor.
Will you repeat that sentence one more time?
Editors can be the reason why directors are so great.
I didn't pay him to say that, nor did I tell him to say that.
But like Martin Scorsese had like the same editor for nearly all of his career. Everyone attributes to the reason why Star Wars was so good is because it was George Lucas's wife at the time. She was the one who was cutting the film together. She's actually the reason for all the wipes, because a lot of George Lucas's shots were like still, like on sticks, didn't move, didn't pan or anything like that. And she's like, we got to put some movement somewhere in this. And she did it in the edit.
Did you look at my notes?
I just know it's just
not that fun fact, but like, I'm like,
I just know this.
I didn't write this for him.
I'm a product of film school.
Yeah, I am not. I went to theater school. So moving along to 1919, Alma would take a job at the famous Players Lasky. It's the British location for Paramount. It was based in Islington, North London. Here she would work as an editor, a continuity supervisor. Lock that nugget away for later.
As in like on the set, like
Yes.
a script supervisor? Okay.
Yes, so an editor, no, continuity supervisor. Very specific.
Oh.
Lock that specific continuity supervisor nugget away.
Okay, because I've known a script supervisor and she's told me like she is the one who watches for continuity.
They are on some sets different people.
Okay.
But this was like when she was at the basically British Paramount. These were her first like sets of jobs, was editing, continuity supervising, and then a director's assistant.
Like an assistant to the director
Yes.
or like an AD?
No, director's assistant.
Okay.
At the same time, there was another up-and-comer at the company. Ironically, he was born just one day before Alma. And he was working his way up the ladder at the exact same time as a title card designer. In 1922, Paramount would leave London, but the work that both of those players had done was recognized by director Graham Cutts. For 1923's Woman to Woman, Cutts brought her on as the editor and script girl, And Cutts brought him on to assist with producing, directing, set design, and script writing. The worlds finally collided, and Alma met Alfred, her future husband. Alma's husband stated that Woman to Woman was the first film that I really got my hands onto. Alma would remain a powerhouse, going on to write The Constant Nymph and After the Verdict, as well as working with several other directors. But it was Alfred that would be her constant collaborator and life partner till death. Alma Revell married Alfred Hitchcock on December 2nd, 1926, and they would have one child, Patricia Alma Hitchcock, in 1928. But it was in 1927 that they would share their first on-screen credit for co-writing the silent-era film The Ring, a good old classic love triangle set in the world of boxing, where Jack and Bob duke it out over Maybelle.
What is it about every director out there needs to do a boxing movie?
You know? Got to start somewhere, I guess.
I mean, that's how Stanley Kubrick got his start. He did a profile. It was like a short profile where he filmed a boxer. And Scorsese, again, Raging Bull.
But that's a much sweeter story than what they would go to work on for the rest of their careers, as we know. Mm-hmm. By 1935, there was the spy thriller, The 39 Steps.
Now, Mr. Hannay, I suppose it's safe to call you by your real name now? What about our mutual friend Annabella?
She's been murdered.
Murdered? Oh, the Portland Mansions affair. What are friends outside are looking for you for?
I didn't do it.
Of course you didn't.
Directed by Alfred, with both script and continuity supervision by Alma, was a US and UK commercial hit. This led to, in 1939, the couple would move to Hollywood. And they would bring on Joan Harrison to take over more of the secretarial duties from Alma, so that Alma could work more in the creative duties with Alfred. It's almost like they're building a team of like their roster of players. And so Joan Harrison, while she starts with the secretarial duties, she also goes on to help write with Alma, and they go on to adapt one of my favorites, which is 1940's Rebecca.
She was lying on the floor. She'd struck her head on a heavy piece of ship's tackle. I remember wondering why she was still smiling. And I realized she was dead.
But you didn't kill her. It was an accident.
Who would believe me?
With Laurence Olivier and Joan Fontaine. And they also adapt Foreign Correspondent and Suspicion from 1941 and Saboteur in 1942. Alfred's favorite film came in 1943 with Shadow of a Doubt.
You're just an ordinary little girl living in an ordinary little town. You wake up every morning of your life and you know perfectly well that there's nothing in the world to trouble you. You go through your ordinary little day, and at night you sleep your untroubled, ordinary little sleep filled with peaceful, stupid dreams. And I brought you nightmares.
And a sharp career rise begins. He brings on Jimmy Stewart in 1948 with Rope.
What are you going to do? I don't want to, but I'm going to look inside that chest.
Are you crazy?
I hope so. With all my heart, I hope I'm crazy.
Rupert, this has nothing to do with you.
I've got to.
Don't.
I've
Rupert.
got to look inside that chest.
All right. Go ahead and look. I hope you like what you see.
Rope. I love Rope.
We are starting to write in our notes. We know each other well enough to be like, pause for Dan to talk about Rope.
Whenever anyone brings up Hitchcock, there's always the big hitters. And I'm like, of all my favorites, it's got to be Rope. One, it's got my boy Jimmy.
Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart. I actually wrote a whole essay in my playwriting class all about Jimmy Stewart and Harvey and like how he revolutionized acting through that movie. Besides that, he was in Rope. It's one of the most perfect movies, and it's a oneer as well. It reads like a play.
A lot of his stuff reads like a play.
Yeah. For the technical limitations at the time and what he was trying to achieve, like that's really the only way that he could truly achieve that.
Yeah. Rope's great. If you haven't seen Rope, you've had time. I didn't see Rope until much later in my Hitchcockian viewing. I saw Rebecca as a kid. Rebecca, Rear Window, all that stuff. Rope is 1948, and then he would bring on another one of his players with Grace Kelly in 1954 with Dial M for Murder.
When I picked up the phone, he must have come from behind those curtains and attacked me. He got something round my neck.
Something? What do you mean by something?
I think it was a stocking.
I see.
After Dial M for Murder, Kelly and Stewart would team up for Rear Window, which is hailed as one of Hitchcock's best movies.
Goodbye, Jeff.
Well, you mean good night.
I mean what I said.
Well, Lisa, couldn't we just keep things status quo?
Without any future.
Well, when am I going to see you again?
Not for a long time.
Kelly was the first of his infamous blondes, only to leave Alfred for Prince Rainier of Monaco, to which many claim that the director was incredibly heartbroken. He would go on to make Vertigo and North by Northwest, but Hitchcock's most memorable hit is going to come in 1960.
With?
You know this one.
The motel.
The chocolate syrup, the quick cuts, a mama's boy, and a fear-inducing score. By Bernard Herrmann. And a new famous blonde.
Oh.
Janet Leigh.
Oh, that's right. Janet Leigh.
Mother to?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Correct. Psycho was really hard to get off the ground. And even though Hitchcock was contracted for another film with Paramount, they wanted him to keep doing his, his like spy thrillers and that kind of thing. They didn't want him to branch out. And so he believed in Psycho so much that he moved the production to Universal, waived his director fee in lieu that he would get 60% of the stake in the film negatives, and financed the film through his own Shamley Productions. A budgetary decision was done by choosing to film in black and white to keep the film under $1 billion. Or $1 million. Oh, we're not into that deep of inflation yet.
It's like crazy. A $1 billion movie in the 60s. No wonder Universal was like, shut it down.
Get it out of here. So that movie and that shower scene in particular are, I think, one of the most iconic moments in cinema history. And it's actually probably thanks to Alma. So because of her continuity supervision, she would go and watch Psycho over and over again. And she caught a shot of Janet Leigh breathing and blinking. And he was like, it's not in there. And she was like, yes, it is. It absolutely is. And was very adamant about it. And it got removed. The fear of, oh my God, she looks dead. And it's not like a freeze frame like he had done in so many things. Thanks, Alma.
To bring it back to my film school days, we had a Hitchcock week. The two movies that we studied in depth was Rear Window and Psycho. And within Psycho, we analyzed the shower scene and like what made it so iconic and what made it so groundbreaking. Like this is the first of so many things in cinematic history, like the water going down the drain or something like the first time we'd ever seen that. Even though it's not as revolutionary, but like we just had to say like that's the first time it ever happened. And then going behind the scenes with like we mentioned the chocolate syrup before. It was brought up in our studies, the fact that there was a moment where you saw her breathing because the scene has been like studied and looked at so closely. People are like, well, is she still alive? Could she still be alive? Something like that. And it was just an overlooked detail that she just like happened to breathe in that moment and no one just like noticed at first.
That's her, it's like her last breath. Like there's a very intentional reason that is in there. And then they cut out the blinking and stuff that happened after. Everything with it is so meticulous and it's such a well done film. And if you go from her continuity supervision, like that being its own lane and that, she started in editing. So if she's starting in editing and then watching the continuity of things, that eye to detail sort of shapes his entire career.
And you have to consider how many cuts are actually in that scene alone, because most of the movies at the time is like you set up a wide and you just let the actors just play out the whole thing, where in the edit comes the action. In the sound design comes that fear of getting stabbed, even though you don't really see her getting stabbed at all. Like there's the part where the knife goes like against her stomach, but you never see the knife like actually stab into her. You just kind of hear it and you just like, oh, that cantaloupe sounding thing is definitely a person getting stabbed.
Yep. Thanks, Foley.
Yep.
I don't remember what year. I think it's like 2012. There's Hitchcock, which has Anthony Hopkins playing Hitchcock and Helen Mirren playing Alma. A lot of that is factual based, not all of it. But there is a scene where they talk about you can't show the toilet and you can't show her getting stabbed. This always like makes me think of my whole Jaws theory of just like this is how great films are made, is that you have to tell people no. Things have to break. There has to be a budget. Like creativity thrives under rules.
Yeah. There is creativity in limits. What was the movie? There was going to end in an explosion, but they didn't. The limitation was in Back to the Future because the end of the movie was supposed to be an atomic bomb going off, and that's going to send him back into the future. But because Universal,
I don't like that at all.
because Universal didn't have the budget to do that, they were like, "Well, what can we do instead?" And he's like, "Well, what if we just like had him drive down the road and get hit with a bolt of lightning?" It's like, brilliant. We'll do that instead, and it's a lot cheaper than a massive explosion.
So not wanting to diminish the success and uniqueness of Psycho, he didn't want to keep using Janet Leigh, even though he has his whole thing for blondes. So he's going to go on now to work with Tippi Hedren in
The Birds.
Yeah. Caca.
Of Roar fame.
Of The Birds fame.
Okay, that too.
What were the crows after at the school?
What do you think they were after, Miss...
Daniels. I think they were after the children.
For what purpose?
To kill them.
The Birds was going to become another smashing success. Have you seen The Birds?
I have seen The Birds.
How old were you when you saw The Birds?
I don't recall the first time I ever saw The Birds. I think I saw it when I was much younger and like seeing it on television and being told that it's a very important movie. Mm-hmm. I for sure saw it in college. Part of my study is just like watch every movie.
Right.
I remember my goal when I was in college was to go through the IMDb top 100 movies.
Did you ever finish that?
Short answer is no, but I believe I got really close.
Fair enough.
But I got through a lot of those movies, and The Birds was definitely on there. And also The Birds was something that we studied in our film class. Specifically the part where the city's on fire. You see like the gas station is like leaking gasoline, and you show like, was it Tippi Hedren's face? They're like going back and forth, and it was showing like this is how an audience assumes someone's feelings through their reactions by showing what they are looking at.
Yeah. I have a real life fear of The Birds. The movie does not scare me. Thankfully, because I saw it when I was older. I remember talking to my grandma about the movie, and she was like, it was terrifying. Like the technology at the time she's like, it was absolutely terrifying the first time I saw it. And she would be like, look how screwy it looks now.
I mean, there are moments in there that are genuinely terrifying. There's the moment where she is in the phone booth and like she's getting attacked, or like the part where they have to go up into the attic and they're like filled with birds just like standing there, and they're like, don't move or move very cautiously, otherwise they're gonna get you. And like that is a genuinely terrifying moment.
That moment happens in so many horror movies now. If you think about A Quiet Place, a lot of his films are very instrumental in what like we watch today. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Hitchcock's golden era is going to start to set with Marnie.
You don't love me. I'm just something you've caught. You think I'm some kind of animal you've trapped.
That's right, you are. And I've caught something really wild this time, haven't I? I've tracked you and caught you, and by God, I'm going to keep you.
Originally, Marnie was supposed to be played by Grace Kelly.
No.
Her children were now grown. She's finding a break in her royal duties. And so Kelly signed on to reunite with Hitchcock. Marnie is about a sexually disturbed thief, which Monaco was not exactly thrilled with their princess portraying. And technically, Grace Kelly never fulfilled her MGM contract, which prevented her from working with another studio. So unfortunately, she could not come back, and thus ending their entire working relationship because Grace wound up passing at the age of 52 in a freak car accident.
Yep.
She would wind up stepping in to play Marnie. And so those were the two films that she worked on with Hitchcock. Reviews were incredibly mixed for Marnie. Eugene Archer of the New York Times wrote a lukewarm assessment calling it at once a fascinating study of sexual relationship and the master's most disappointing film in years. He called it an amateurish script, and the casting cries for the talents of Grace Kelly and Cary Grant. With Marnie behind him, Hitchcock was eager to get back to his roots and started planning a prequel to Shadow of a Doubt. Finding the right writer proved to be quite a task. He wound up passing on Psycho writer Robert Bloch, who found the story too harrowing. So Ben Levy was brought in to flesh out the ideas.
What did he previously write?
He worked with Hitchcock on a bunch of things. Looks like he wrote a lot of plays. Hollywood Holiday, Springtime for Henry, Cupid and Psyche. But he was friends with Hitchcock, so basically that's how he got roped in. So the story was to star a young, handsome bodybuilder, and in some accounts he is described as a mama's boy. I sense a running theme in a lot of his films.
Yeah, yep.
Willie Cooper would be known as the Merry Widow Murderer, a version of a character from Shadow of a Doubt, who would lure young women to their deaths. 3 young women, to be more precise. The first was to be murdered by a waterfall. The second, the murder of Patty Landis, to take place in an abandoned shipyard, a set that would have become Hitchcock's largest. The murder of Patty became known in many notes and discussions about the project as the Mothball Fleet sequence, in which there's a bunch of emails and not email. There's a bunch of letters because we're in the 1960s.
Yeah, if they were going to do emails, this would have easily been $1 billion.
My errors are deeply conflicting. There's a bunch of like letters back and forth that we'll get into. And
Hitchcock, we need to invent the internet first. The infrastructure alone.
Almost like, I'm busy fixing your movie. I don't have time to make the internet. And then there would be the third murder, which was the grand finale, which would take place at an oil refinery with brightly colored drums. A kaleidoscope of color.
Ooh.
And gore and violence and gore and violence and just too much gore. So I could not find a script for Kaleidoscope. There's a lot of back and forth on what was fully true, what was not. But there is a scene that was floating around that seems to be the last remnants of sort of the waterfall murder.
Okay.
It's a long scene. And you can feel the suspense building. It's about Willie and Caroline, who would have been murderess victim number 1. So they are walking along near this waterfall, and Willie is like, oh, we're going to walk over this thing. And he winds up falling in, and, you know, it becomes this like playful thing. And Caroline is like, here, take this sweater. It was my brother's, so that you can dry your clothes and cover yourself. And they have like a very interesting back and forth banter that I found boring and also creepy at the same time. But I am going to read a little bit of it so that we can see how Hitchcock was writing. Like, you hear his voice in it. We're going to open on a big head of Willie. He turns his face back towards her. The camera pans slightly as Caroline's face comes into picture. They look at each other. The camera eases back slightly as he takes her in his arms and kisses her. We see her arms go about him, and the camera goes with them as he presses her back gently into the grass. Close up, big profiles. Filling the screen, they kiss at great length. Close up, Willie's hand, traveling over her back. It moves on past her waist, and we see his arm pressing her to him. Big close up, the zipper, coming undone. It fills the screen. We see Willie's hand come between their bodies as he starts to unbutton Caroline's shirt. Back to their noses and mouths, still kissing. The camera gradually pulling away until the back of Willie's head fills the screen. We see nothing but hair. The camera continues to recede, passing a bush which obscures the lower part of their bodies until their 2 reclining figures fill the screen. The camera pulls away continually until the figures are so tiny and the waterfall fills the picture. The camera is so far away now that we have lost sight of them altogether. The only sound is the loud roar of the waterfall, which somehow seems to increase with the size of the picture. Low camera shot, Willie. His feet fill the screen. In the foreground, we see that he has pants on. The camera moves in until his head fills the screen. A cigarette dangles from his lips. He's staring ahead. A puff of smoke emerges from his mouth. The camera moves off him and down to the head and shoulders of Caroline. She's lying on her back, the sweater by her head. Her eyes are open and glazed. There's a trickle of blood from one nostril. His hand enters the shot and strokes her hair for a moment. There are scratches on the back of his hand. Close-up Willie. He turns and eyes the body. Close-up, the camera pans from the dead face down onto the body. Close-up Willie. His eyes are traveling down. Close-up, the camera arrives on the girl's abdomen and we see rivulets of blood. Long shot, the waterfall. We see Willie rise. He stoops to pick up some clothes, including his coat and shirt from the bush. He glances down at the reclining figure, which we can faintly see, and then he moves away. He crosses the rock and goes back in the direction of his car. Long shot Willie. In the distance, making his way towards his car, he gets in and drives off. The camera pans into a different direction, up the road. Round the bend, we see a group of children, perhaps a dozen or so, accompanied by an adult woman. They are obviously out on a picnic and are singing together in unison. End scene.
It's really well done. I know the rules of screenwriting is that you really don't want to put in camera movements in there, but
This
also
is clearly not written by
no.
Ben. This is written by Hitchcock trying to explain his idea.
Yeah, because that is very much how he operates, is like where the camera goes, what's happening in the camera, because those movements, the camera angles, they have meaning and they contribute to the story, which is probably why so many of his movies, like the shots, the close-ups, everything, it's like it's specifically there because it's planned for way back in how he writes it and how he plans for things. I am curious, is this written when the Hays Code is still enacted?
I don't know.
Because it seemed like it was hiding a lot and just like implying, so like showing like the drips of blood and whatnot.
Stop stealing my notes.
It doesn't help that Hitchcock is one of the most studied filmmakers of just
what
all
an
time.
Idiot to choose an episode.
And when it comes to like what we know about him is what I studied in film school. So it's going to come out. I have a film degree and I don't get to use it very often. I use my English degree more often than I should.
That's not true.
I use it a lot.
You use your film degree a lot now.
I do.
You're using it right now.
I am using it right now, but there's a lot of moments where the English degree comes out and it's like, I'm very grateful that I accidentally got that.
Yeah. Unlike 3 theater majors over here.
Uh-huh. How's your knowledge on Patti LuPone?
Patti LuPone has been on Broadway, yes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I have no idea.
Also was in Agatha all along. Mm-hmm. I thought I was like waiting for this like obscure theater cut to come out of your mouth.
I know nothing about theater.
And then you were like, Patti LuPone. I was like, oh.
Mm-hmm. My bread and butter. Yeah, that's how I feel about Hitchcock. Be like, okay, bring it on.
No, I mean, I genuinely love Hitchcock, and something I don't have in my notes, because I was like, oh, this entire episode has to be handled with like a little bit of grace because of the subject matter, but also it turns out like he may not have been the nicest of people.
Oh, no. And it even showed in the multiple biopics that have come out about him, where he is notorious for being awful on set and like treating the women on set awful as well, where he genuinely believed in order for these actresses to get a genuine reaction, he needed to like literally scare them, and just didn't trust that they could actually act in a way that he needed them to.
Yeah, and there's so many different angles on the story and like recounts of it that I was just like, insert, hey, we know he's not nice. Like, there's not a but. He was not nice.
Mm-mm.
Also shaped cinema. Both are true.
Yeah.
With him shaping cinema and reading that it feels like it's in his old style, which is why I almost call bullshit on this scene. I do think it is reminiscent of his style and it fits the story for all accounts that I've seen. But the reason that I disagree is because that's not the style that Hitchcock wanted to shoot Kaleidoscope in at all. So he wanted Kaleidoscope to be very raw and incredibly explicit. He was drawing from French New Wave and Italian Giallo films. Giallo, which, do you know what Giallo means? Yellow. I'm just talking about those like yellow, like paperback books.
Giallo films are extremely graphic, very bloody, very explicit sexually. Like, it is kind of an answer to like the American Hays Code, to be like, if you are going to be milquetoast about all of these subjects, like
Right.
we are going to show it. We are going to make sure.
So you're talking the Hays Code. Explain that to our listeners who don't know what the Hays Code is.
The Hays Code was a reaction to, because I don't know the specifics of the Hays Code, I just remember it was like a restriction on there, where it was like a movement that was a reaction from a lot of religious folks who were kind of boycotting Hollywood, saying that they were too raunchy or explicit or anything like that.
Too much lustful kissing.
Yeah, and it basically rose up to like the government kind of threatened to then censor a lot of Hollywood scripts, and they're like, okay, before we have any like government interventions, it kind of became like a self-governing thing where they actually had people at the studio to actually go through these scripts and like mark them up and be like, this is allowed, this is not allowed, you can't show this, you're allowed to show this. And like you would have to go through this approval process first before making your film. And that's when you get a lot of like innuendos as well, where you can kind of like skirt around that. So like that joke of whenever like two people are kissing and then it like pans over to like the bed,
Right.
the end table or the plant, or like my favorite is like the train goes into the tunnel or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of one way that you can get around the Hays Code to then imply what you're trying to do.
So the Hays Code was from 1930 to 1968.
Okay, so he's operating within that time.
So I just looked it up really quick. And it says by the late 1960s, under the leadership of Jack Valenti, the rigid code was dismantled entirely by 1968 and replaced by the MPAA. For those that like are listening that don't know what the MPAA is, that is your G, your PG-13, your R. It's our rating system that we currently have today. So this is a kind of fascinating point. He's trying to do this new style of filmmaking while the Hays Code is being phased out. It makes me think that this script is not real. Based on, I want to shoot it in this different sort of style. There had to be talk that the Hays Code was being phased out at this point, because Marnie was 1964 and this is after Marnie. So we're pre it being officially phased out.
It seemed like a lot of Hitchcock's style is kind of shaped within the Hays Code, and then it kind of attributes to his style, where the things that are hidden, things that are not shown, become tension in a way.
Until after 1968.
But he loves that tension. He loves that idea. And I know we'll talk about it in Frenzy. There's a specific moment that I thought was just brilliant. We'll save it.
That though.
But the idea of like when you don't see something and you kind of imply that something else is happening, that's when your imagination can run wild and you can imagine terrible things are happening. So I imagine that he's kind of just stuck in his ways, where like if he had to operate under those rules and found a way to make it really good, why not keep going with that?
Right. I do think that while American cinema was not ready for the version of Kaleidoscope that he wanted to make, it does seem like a very natural trajectory for his path. He definitely, like you just said, like works within the Hays Code and uses it to his benefit. But we also see him trying to use technology or new filmmaking things like The Birds was a huge advancement. So it makes sense that he would go, okay, well, I've done A and B and C. I'm now going to go do X.
Yeah. But I imagine that he was frustrated with a lot of the Hollywood system pushing back on a lot of the decisions that he wanted to make. So it makes sense that when the Hays Code then thus disappears, he's like, oh, finally, like,
I'm free.
Yeah, I'm no longer having to make movies with one arm tied behind my back. I can actually make something that I truly can do without the restrictions.
What also does not help Kaleidoscope's case is that it was inspired by real life murderers, which sort of his thing. Ed Gein for Psycho. So for Kaleidoscope, it was inspired by 2, possibly 3 real life murderers. The first one was Neville Heath, who was described as a charmer, a former Air Force officer who used his handsome nature to prey on young women, taking them back to hotel rooms and committing acts of violence before just fleeing the scene. I'm going to leave it at as acts of violence. I do not advise looking up this person.
We are also not a true crime podcast.
We are not. So Neville was convicted of killing 2 women. Marjorie Garner, who was an artist and film extra that he absolutely tortured. And then Doreen Marshall, who he lured to her death. And her body was found days later covered by rhododendrons. But then some of her possessions were found at like a beach hut nearby. So just not a nice man. But if you listen to his description, he's a charmer, he's handsome. What does that remind you of? Likes to lure young women.
Oh, there was a famous serial killer.
Zac Efron played him.
Yes. Oh. Al Bundy.
Nope.
You know, the guy from Married with Children.
Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy.
This guy makes Ted Bundy look semi-normal. Knowing how horrific this person was, I kind of understand being like, hey, let's not make this person cooler. Let's not continue to bring up their name throughout all of history and be like, yeah, look at this film. The second person that was also rumored to be inspiration is John Haig, known as the acid bath murderer. Haig murdered at least 6 people, thinking that if he dissolved their bodies, that the police wouldn't have evidence to convict him.
Plan worked out perfectly.
Again, not a true crime podcast, but like, what? Haig was going after wealthy people, dissolving them in sulfuric acid, and then forging their signatures to sell their property, cash checks, like, you know, your typical fraud. You know, evidence.
He was so close to being like a Robin Hood figure.
Yeah, but like a Roger Rabbit version of it. Don't they put the toys in?
No, that's Christopher Lloyd's character. He does it.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, fine. The bad guy in Roger Rabbit. Let me be more specific. There's so many rumors about this movie. Everything is like, oh man, I wish we would have gotten Hitchcock's Kaleidoscope. And I'm like, but what version? And so writer Ben seemed to agree with me in this letter to Hitchcock, where it's got to be Heath, not Haig. The Heath story is a gift from heaven. You'd start with a straight romantic meeting, handsome young man, pretty girl. Maybe he rescues her from a drunken escort. I can't stand men who paw at the girl for everything. It gets us rooting for them. He perhaps is unhappily married and therefore a model of screen hero restraint. She begins to find him irresistible, just a little boy who can't cope with life, least of all with domestic problems such as he described. Sounds a lot like Norman Bates. Sounds a lot like movies we've seen Hitchcock making.
Yep.
Also, I'm suspicious of Ben when I hear the Heath story is a gift from heaven. But Ben goes on to say, by the time we get to the climax of his love in action and his murder, then even the slowest of us will get it. Basically, the whole point of Kaleidoscope was that the film would be from the killer's point of view, and they would be the protagonist. And Ben is saying, like, let's get us rooting for the killer.
That's a really hard thing to get behind, for sure. And I can see why he's having issues with it when we can't really glorify this guy. And it's really hard to, like, you think protagonist, and we're not really at that moment where, like, protagonist is the main character, but protagonist is just good guy. Like, you even think of like the movie Dracula, where Dracula is supposed to be the bad guy, but we're not following Dracula that whole movie.
Like, none of this feedback stops Hitchcock. He decides he's gonna go to New York City and shoot an hour's worth of test footage. And I didn't make you watch the test footage because your homework was Frenzy instead. Frenzy is like G-rated compared to the footage. Hitchcock's plan was to shoot it in this realistic handheld documentary style, which is really a hard left from everything he's sort of done at this point. And so armed with this footage, the script, and he came up with like 450 camera positions he wanted to be able to use. He goes to the MCA at Universal and is like, I'm going to strip all the lighting down to natural lighting. I'm going to keep the budget under $1 million with a cast of unknowns, although there are rumors that Robert Redford and Michael Caine were like, who, wanted to go after. Pitches all this to Universal, and Universal's like, this material is relentless. Way too much for the 60s. They didn't love that the murderer was the protagonist. They didn't want you to find sympathy with the murderer.
Which is, I think, also part of the Hays Code, that you can't find sympathy with a bad guy. It doesn't even have to do with murder. Just like if it's a criminal in general, like you have to, at the very end, there has to be like some sort of punishment or some sort of comeuppance. And I remember like watching some noir, I forget the name of the movie, but like it seemed like a scene that was just tacked on as like a note from the producer to be like, oh yeah, we also need to do this. And all it had was the main character just like walking down the road. Police officer like drives up and is like, oh, we've been looking for you. Gets arrested. That's the end of the movie. So I can see like coming from that era to be like, so he's a murderer. And
at one point, like there was one rumored draft where they were going to have a policewoman be a trap kind of thing of, setting it up to be like the next victim, but actually we're trying to catch this killer.
Yeah.
So you can tell that they just kept trying to make it work in different ways. I wish that there was a way to pinpoint exactly when they were going to Universal, because the rough dates of like when this movie was always talked about are from after Marnie, so in 64 through 72. He's in the right time to be like, hey, you guys are getting rid of the Hays Code. Other cinemas across the world are doing these movies. Do you want America to be left behind? Or like, and if someone's going to handle the subject material, who better than me?
Yeah.
But no, Universal was like, hard pass, Hitch. So sorry, Montfrere. There's a reason why I started our story where I started it. And I think it's incredibly important to get Alma's viewpoint on Kaleidoscope. So she had concerns that some of the aspects would be repetitions of Psycho. And she was actually heavily involved in the tone of suspense. And so I found one of her letters, not emails, letters. And I think this encapsulates her in a really great way, where we figure out her tone and like her influence. And so she has to say, he knows she's got a boyfriend and may not get another chance. He goes to a lot of trouble to get her into the engine room. He thinks the body won't be discovered for a long time. Maybe he shouldn't throw the body overboard. He'd put it on his coat and take the body into the shadows of concealment. Then he comes out. Now we've lost the suspense. Maybe he goes along the corridor of the ship, cross-cut with the men in the work, so it comes all out of a door and you practically walk right into their arms. He comes out of a door, he runs, he hides. Maybe his feet make a noise. Then the men come running. They can't see him. Cut to him climbing down the anchor chain. They don't know which ship he's on. Maybe they think it's a gang of kids around. Oh, wait, maybe there's a scream while they're on the ship. No, that's too clumsy. She typed all this out. You can see her train of thought. And that train of thought to me is of a writer, of an editor, of someone who knows the entire film process, of a director in a way. And I also think you can see the beats in her process reflect Hitchcock's films really well. Hitchcock has this massive legacy of film, but I think the women surrounding him are really cool. And there's almost a way that I'm kind of glad Kaleidoscope didn't get made. While yes, I think it could have been a very cool, artistic, new way for American cinema, or I guess British cinema, wherever you want to look at it. There's a way that women are filmed in his movies that is compelling, and I think this would have changed his narrative for history.
It seemed like a lot of what he was trying to do was just a proof of concept over anything. It wasn't like he went out there to New York to get the hour's worth of footage to be like, I'm going to make this a movie or like turn this into a film. He is going into uncharted territory, and he needed to not only pitch the idea to Universal, he needed to have some sort of visual to be like, I know how to make this work. And this is me showing you that I can potentially make this work. And we can either move forward with like where cinema is going, what the rest of the world is going, or we can stay stuck in the past. And I have a fear that you guys are going to do that.
Yeah. I mean, he was no stranger to unmade films. There's a reason why I chose this one, not only because it is one of the bigger ones from his career that people talk about, and it is one that apparently like ate away at him for all of his life. But looking through the long list of unmade movies, it very much reminded me of the Del Toro episode where it's just like, oh, this creative man has all these ideas. And like you almost get to a point where you have more that aren't made than are.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He had a concept for phone booth because he loved that claustrophobic like nature. I'm talking about the phone booth that we wound up getting in 2002 with Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Originally could have been a Hitchcock film. Like I think I'd prefer to see that over Kaleidoscope. But yeah, this movie ate away at him so much that you can clearly see it in Frenzy. So I made you watch Frenzy, which you had not seen before this, correct?
I've never seen Frenzy before.
Let's chat about Frenzy.
She's been strangled.
Looks like a tie.
Yes, it's a tie, all right. Another necktie murder.
So my impression of Frenzy when I first saw it was I never thought of Hitchcock as a genre.
Right.
And that was something that occurred to me while watching the movie. It hit a lot of the beats that I recognize from Hitchcock's film. You have the murderous aspect to it. You have the mistaken identity. Was it Strangers on a Train?
Yeah.
Was one that I like immediately thought of when they're like, the police are looking for this specific guy when the actual killer is someone else. And having that knowledge of like who that person is, like it immediately reminded me of his past films. So it made me realize that like it's not just the style that Hitchcock is putting out there, but like he is drawn to a specific genre. He's drawn to a specific type of story. And he thrives and works so well in that story. It is a well that he constantly comes back to. It seemed like he was just trying to kind of bring back that glory of like what he had with like his signature films. And he's just trying to do this again with a lot of, at the time, modern vernacular. So never have I heard Bob's your uncle actually said in a nonchalant way.
Don't forget, Bob's your uncle.
Good morning, Mr.
I heard that and I was like, I know that tickled Dan.
It was so funny.
Okay, after going through this, you have the three bodies.
Yep.
He's handsome and charming and lures them back to a room.
Yep.
Like, I don't think that we need to see Kaleidoscope because he made it. Like, Frenzy is...
Essentially, yeah. When you were describing what was supposed to be Kaleidoscope, it seemed very much like Frenzy was that movie.
The fascinating thing is, like, Frenzy comes out in 1972. So the Hays Code is gone. He has much more freedom. Like, cinema changed greatly in the 70s. So it's interesting that if he was so frustrated by not being able to make the film that he wanted to do, that less than 5 years later, he was like, Frenzy.
I did it. I made it.
This is not Kaleidoscope. This is Frenzy. And it's like, and Frenzy does feel like a G-rated version of what he had planned for Kaleidoscope.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it went through, even though the Hays Code is gone, but you have to go through a lot of steps of just like, can this be approved? Can we film this? Is this allowed? And it felt like he wrote the script that he wanted to with everything included, and then he got pushed back for a lot of what he wanted and eventually ended up with Frenzy. It could have started with Kaleidoscope. He pitched it to Universal, but it seems like instead of just getting a flat no, he's just like, well,
change the title a few names. No one will know the difference.
I'll rework it until like they finally accept and greenlight it.
Right. And it's interesting to me that 1972, like a lot of the rumors were that this movie ate away at him and he always wished he had done Kaleidoscope the way that he wanted to do Kaleidoscope. And I was like, okay, so then you made this movie in 1972. For someone who pushed boundaries, I was like, you could have pushed the boundaries a little there. In 1974, Texas Chainsaw Massacre comes out. So we're at that time.
But that was a movie that was made independently outside of the studio system and infiltrated into the mainstream because of how popular it became.
Right, but he had done that with Psycho. Like, he had financed Psycho himself. So it's like he could have done that.
I guess he could have, yeah.
It's just interesting that Frenzy is a fine movie. There's the one shot that I was like, don't say anything. We'll talk about it later. That one shot to me is like, I could watch that over and over again.
Can we talk about that shot?
Yeah,
okay.
100%.
So the shot that we're talking about, Robert is the murderer. We see him actually act out a full murder in what is essentially like the first act of the movie. And when it comes to the second victim, instead of having to go through that whole process again, there he like lures up Babs up into up to the room, and he repeats the same line that he did with the matchmaker.
I don't know if you know, Babs, but you're my type of woman.
Oh, that, the way he said it just like sent chills down my spine. The door shuts, you like do a pan out. And what's really great, whoever did the sound design for it, it just like, it turns deathly silent going through the hallway. You don't really hear anything. And then it goes out into the street and all you hear is just the sounds of the street just like flood and get louder. And knowing, like, you have that tension of knowing like something bad is happening.
You're waiting for her to scream.
Yeah. And maybe because modern day movies have ruined this for me. Like, I thought she was going to get thrown out a window and we'd see her body hit the floor. Like,
I didn't go that far. I was waiting for the scream.
She is getting strangled. You can't really scream when you're getting strangled.
No, but there's like a tussle happening. Like, I was waiting for some sort of, not a body, but like a kerfuffle of something. Or to see him like walk out of the building.
But nothing happens at all.
And you don't need it to.
No. It's the fact that that shot lingers for so long that you just assume that something bad definitely happened. And it does. Like, we saw the potatoes. So...
Going off of what I just read about seeing Alma's train of thought, there's the specific, maybe they hear a scream on the ship. No, that's too clumsy. I saw that shot and I was like, that was her.
It seemed like they tried to fight every single cliche. And it still works so well.
Yeah. I like rewatched that specific shot so many times. And I was like, this is her work coming out in his. So,
yeah.
I think Frenzy is a fun movie. The deaths are a little kooky nowadays.
They are. I mean, I laughed out loud when like they showed the strangle face
and her tongue was out.
And the tongue is off to the side. Like, she's clearly pushing out her tongue.
Yes. And then it freeze frames. And I was like...
Probably because she couldn't keep it
The
out.
TV break?
Yeah, she clearly couldn't like keep that face and stay still long enough. So they're like, well, we got to fix this somehow.
So, fun question.
Sure.
Did you catch the Hitchcock cameo?
The two of them?
Sure. I clearly only caught one.
There's the group shot where everyone's like gathered outside. There's the guy on the soapbox.
In the opening, yes.
And he's in the crowd. And then everyone's just like, there's a girl in the river. And
it's the necktie killer. Like, and that again harkens back to Kaleidoscope of like, it's the Merry Wives killer or whatever. And I'm like, oh, we really just swapsied.
So then everyone goes to the river, and then we see another shot where like it's a closer shot on like a couple who is describing like what they've heard and reported about there. And like in the back, you see Hitchcock just like staring. He's like, this is going exactly to plan.
With his little bowler hat. See, that's the one I caught. I didn't catch the wide.
Yeah, I caught the wide one for sure. But I also, knowing that this is a Hitchcock movie, I was like, he's going to appear somewhere. So like, I'm kind of on high alert when it comes to the cameos.
So while Alma's husband did not invent the cameo, he actually does get credit for like modern day audiences are like, oh no, he totally did. Originally, that cameo was a budgetary reason for their first film together called The Lodger in 1927, in which he and Alma both cameoed.
I love this.
Yeah. She would only go on to cameo in one other film, The Sabotage in 1936. How many films do you think he cameoed in?
Like in his own?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say all of them.
It's not all of them.
He did the show Hitchcock Presents as well.
I'm just talking movies.
Just the movies.
Just the moving pictures.
I'm going to say he was in all except 2.
I mean, I don't know what his full run of films was, but he would go on to cameo in 40 movies.
Okay.
That's nuts.
His own movies?
Yeah.
Okay. He didn't cameo in any other movie.
I didn't look that up.
Kubrick wasn't shooting next door and be like, hey, but it'd be really funny if I was also in the hotel.
Here's Johnny.
He's in the bear suit.
Oh my God. 40 of his 52 surviving films.
Oh.
He never cameoed in movies directed by other filmmakers.
Okay.
And then it became this fun game to Hitchcock to see where he could like place himself. But now, viewing his whole career, they sort of have become a signature in a way that an artist would sign a painting.
I mean, literally, his logo just became his silhouette outline.
His profile.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say that I think that his truest signature is actually Alma's input. You can see it in this whole through line throughout his entire career. And even though she's not credited on everything, I do think she touched every inch of what he did. In 1982, there's actually a quote, "The Hitchcock touch had 4 hands, and 2 of which were Alma's." And Hitchcock himself in 1979 got the AFI Life Achievement Award the year before he died. He wanted to mention,
"Only 4 people who have given me the most affection, appreciation, and encouragement, and constant collaboration. The first of the 4 is a film editor. The second is a scriptwriter. The third is the mother of my daughter Pat. And the 4th is as fine a cook as ever performed miracles in a domestic kitchen. And their names are Alma Reville."
I would see maybe Alma's Kaleidoscope.
Yeah, I would.
And then my favorite line in Frenzy, which we didn't really talk about.
Oh, wasn't Bob's your uncle?
It was not Bob's your uncle.
Mm-hmm.
It's, to me, one of the, on the list of underrated characters in a Hitchcock film, is the wife of the detective.
Oh, right. Oh, I love those scenes where, okay, say the line first and we'll talk about it.
No, we'll end there. Let's talk about the weird dinners.
The weird dinners are great. And I love that the detective is trying to be like, you know, he was left at this diner where they have normal food, you know, like
not hooves,
not
or fish
pig's
heads,
feet, squid, or whatever gray matter that is. Try the gray stuff; it's delicious. So, I love how enthusiastic she is, and I feel like she's just testing him. You would never see her actually eat the food.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, she's genius, and she's such a comedic relief.
Oh, it's so funny.
And so my favorite quote was, she says to him,
"A woman's intuition is worth more than all those laboratories. I can't think why you don't teach it in police colleges."
Oh, so good. That's much better than the line that I really liked. Mine is the gotcha line at the end where it's like,
"You're not wearing your tie."
And with that, Hitchcock's Kaleidoscope.
That's great. Like, I knew a lot about Hitchcock's style and how he operated, but I never really dove into the career of Hitchcock, which is very eye-opening. And watching Frenzy, seeing a movie that is not one of Hitchcock's like staple films is really interesting to see, especially like this is in his later career.
They say it's the last great film he ever made.
Frenzy was great. I'm glad you made me watch it. It is really interesting to see like how kind of his career just kind of like guided him to create his own type of film. Like I said, when I watched Frenzy, it suddenly dawned on me that Hitchcock is not just the filmmaker, but it just kind of turned into his own kind of genre.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason people will say things are Hitchcockian.
Yes.
I just found it fascinating that they were born a day apart. They got this job at the same company, and then they got hired on to do these things at the same time. They never really had successes without the other.
Yeah.
So there you go. Alma's husband's Kaleidoscope.
Yeah. And I really love that you brought it from Elma's perspective because, like I mentioned at the beginning, like editing is a very important and kind of overlooked part of filmmaking. But like I mentioned, there are a lot of filmmakers who wouldn't be where they are. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, not just editors, but like women editors behind them to really...
Patton Oswald has a really great stand-up joke about this.
Any movie that you love, chances are it was directed by a man, edited by a woman, which means a woman directed it. It's a dude with his camera dick just pointing it everywhere. I'm just shooting fucking film. Oh my God, just 18 miles of it. Look at this fucking, every frame is a painting. Oh my God, I'm making the masterpiece. Oh, fuck, I'm done. Yeah. Oh, fuck, I shot a lot of film. Oh, man. You see all that film I shot? Holy shit. Shot film everywhere, man. Oh, fuck. I'm a genius. It's all me. I did it myself. Woo! Then the woman's got to show up. We all done, sweetie? Okay. Out you go. I got to make a story out of this mess. No, we're not gonna release an 18-hour movie, sweetie. No.
The Hitchcockian style is truly both of them. Mm-hmm. And in reading bits of her actual letters, I was like, oh, I can read the tone from that.
Yeah, you can tell like she's also trying to put this story together. Mm-hmm. Like that letter perfectly encapsulates like, oh, this part of the story is working, this part is not. How do we avoid the cliches? How do we make this better?
Yeah, and one of the things I didn't even include is like they're exchanging the letters with Ben. She even says like, is this a repetition of Psycho? Mm-hmm. She's the one that's constantly like checking the backlog of things to go, okay, are we doing something new or how can we keep this fresh? And without her, because of the subject matter of a lot of his movies, could have been skewed misogynistic very easily. Mm-hmm. And some do, but there's also a reason why people love them. And I do think having her touch saved them from skewing too far one way.
Yeah. Alma's Kaleidoscope.
Yep, Alma's husband's Kaleidoscope.
Mm-hmm. We're back from the ads.
From Alma's ads.
Let's go through our recommendations. Is there anything you want to recommend?
The only thing I've watched recently is a lot of Hacks still. I've started Hacks over, but then I also started Widow's Bay on Apple TV.
I've been hearing really good things about Widow's Bay.
I am enjoying myself, I think. I'm 100% glad it got made. I think tonally it is cuckoo banana pants in a fun, spooky way.
Yeah, from what I've heard is like it presents itself as horror mystery at the beginning, mm-hmm. but it goes along as a comedy.
Yes, and then also like a period piece. Just when I'm like, okay, it's gonna zig, it's like, nah, zagging. And I'm like, okay. So like, I don't know that I am in love with it, but I like it from this is fresh and different and that perspective. What a glowing recommendation.
Yeah.
Widow's Bay, Apple TV, check it out.
Okay. For my recommendation, because I wanted to keep it in theme with what we were doing today,
well, aren't you fancy? Oh wait, mine's technically carry on.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to recommend the TV show Columbo, but specifically, and this is kind of relevant
from the 80s,
from 70s? The 70s. Yeah.
Is this because we talked about Murder, She Wrote?
It might have dawned from that, but it also is somewhat relevant today because it's the very first episode, the pilot episode. It is called Murder by the Book.
Oh.
It feels kind of like a Hitchcock movie, especially with a lot of the setups, a lot of the close-ups. A lot of the tone of the rest of the show is anchored from the pilot episode. And the pilot episode, to make this relevant to today, is directed by Steven Spielberg.
Whoa! Of
Yep.
Disclosure Day.
Of Disclosure Day. This is like right before he directed Duel. He was still working for Universal as just like a TV director.
Guess I know what I'm watching tonight.
And knowing Steven Spielberg's style and knowing Hitchcock's style, you can tell that Spielberg is definitely borrowing a lot from Alfred Hitchcock because like he learned a lot from him as well.
He actually just had an interview where they were like, what's one the dead or alive, who's the person that you want to have at dinner? And he chose Alfred Hitchcock.
Mm-hmm. Just like the first scene of the pilot episode, I actually just like rewatched it, is just so brilliant. Like there's not a word that's said and there's like so much that's established just through the shots alone.
What is Columbo currently on?
It's on Peacock.
I knew that's how that was going to come out. For those of you that don't speak Daniel, that's Peacock, as in NBC's Peacock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I said, Peacock.
Ooh, I've seen a lot of Columbo. I watched we were talking about Murder, She Wrote earlier this week, which also, I'll recommend that every episode.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen the pilot of Columbo. I had to have at some point.
Yeah. But definitely watch the pilot, like knowing that it's Steven Spielberg, not attempting to do, but like knowing that he is heavily inspired by Hitchcock at that time.
I like this, like picking the recommendation based off of the episode. That's fun. I might steal that little nugget.
Yeah, that is my recommendation.
Okay, so our handles have all changed.
The handles have changed. The
Everything
show name
is
has changed.
set in stone.
Yeah. I spent a whole day going through stuff, like even stuff that I didn't even realize that we had for a while. Like we have a Twitch channel. I had to change the name of our Twitch channel. We haven't used that in like forever.
I didn't know we ever had a Twitch channel. When did you, was that for?
I did a quiz show with David and Alexa.
Okay. I was like, when did we?
So to find us on any social media, you can look up at Development Purgatory on pretty much all the socials all around. You can find us on Patreon as well under the same Development Purgatory. There's only one social media handle that is different, and that is Blue Sky. Blue Sky, we are Dev Purgatory.
Dev Purg.
Yeah, the only reason why we had to do that is because Blue Sky likes to mimic...
B-Sky.
Yeah, B-Sky likes to... I mean, it was modeled after Twitter.
Yeah, 100%.
And Twitter also had the character restrictions. So that was the only reason why Twitter, that handle was different from like the Instagram and the TikTok handle, is because there is that character limitations. Other than that, look up Development Purgatory. You'll be able to find us, see what we're posting. And Blue Sky, Dev Purgatory. Yeah. You can support the show, like I mentioned before, through our Patreon. That is how you can directly support the show. Other ways you can support the show, just
smash that like.
Yeah. Subscribe to the show. Tell your friends, family, whoever you know that is a film nerd.
Or not a film nerd. Get them into film.
Yeah.
Go see a movie.
And go see a movie.
Watch Columbo.
Watch Columbo on a train.
Stop that train. Go see a movie.
Oh, I forgot that's off.
Yeah.
Go see a movie.